Okay, guys, good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing today? Is anybody even here yet? Let's see. I know I sent out a thing to Ramen. Hopefully, she got her new mic in yesterday. We're having a countdown on this new mic of Ramen's because yesterday, I mean, she tried to join, bless her heart, and it was horrible. I mean, it was echoing all over the place. She sounded the quality was just absolutely horrible, breaking up, roboting. That was me, not my mic. Um, I hope she got her new mic in. I really and truly do. Um, she really needs one. I don't know what happened to her old mic because I mean it sounded decent, but then I mean she's only been streaming with me now for 3 years. Dang, man, time passes fast. Yep. 3, 4 years now she's been streaming with me. So, uh, well, how long have I been streaming? I'll have to, or how long have I been producing stuff? Let me pull this. Oh, wait a minute, wrong one. Pull this one up. Okay, because all I got to do is look here at my streams and I've got folders going back to 2018. 2018, that's not much. 2020 is when I really got started doing anything. I mean, I had some stuff in 2018 and had some stuff in 2019, but 2020 is when I really started doing much of anything. 2020, and then 2021 is when so it's been 4 years I've been streaming solid. Wow. That's time flies by when you're having fun. Yeah, March. Okay, I mean, as far as I've got saved, okay, and YouTube pulled down a bunch of my streams earlier. So as far as I've got saved goes back to March of 2020 or March of 2021 rather. So, but I've got a lot more than that. I mean, I know I had a lot more than that or a lot earlier than that. So one of my projects I've been doing is I don't know if you know this. There's a EPUB Ultimate out there. It's $30 for a to buy the program, buy a license for it. So it's not bad. And I what I do is I download all my books and then off of all my Kindle books, I download them and then I just uh, use EPUB to convert them. Well, I was doing that, but I fell out of the habit. So I'm going back through and making certain I've got at least my absolute favorite books done. And my daughter-in-law and I were talking, and I didn't realize I've got like close to 40 cookbooks that I've bought over the years. And so, she's wanting to, well, hey, morning, Data. So she's wanting to look at some of them. So I'm going to let her look at some of these books. And she's going to come over and she's going to scroll through what I got. And we're going to print out a recipe or two that she wants. But I mean, I'm just surprised at the number of different bread books that I've got. It's absolutely wild. Uh, cannot just simply cannot believe how many cookbooks and such I've bought, and most of them being bread books or uh, single item like uh, different ways of cooking potatoes. But remember yesterday I told you, I've got my appointment today with my favorite nurse, doctor, whatever, specialist, the one who's been taking care of my legs, healing up the wounds in them, and has healed the wounds in them. So I feel, man, we have got oh man, my skies are blacker than all get out there. Are we getting ready for a storm? I mean, it just got dark. I mean, twilight dark out there. Uh, but anyway, so I said I was going to bake her some bread before so, just a way to thank her. I decided I would bake some bread so that she could, just as a thank you, I mean, I want to be a nice guy here. And let's see. And I know. I should have had this pulled up earlier. And so that's the bread I baked. Now the big loaf is the one I'm going to give her. The smaller round one, that was the leftover dough. So uh, that's when it come straight out of the oven, got it sitting there on the cooling rack cooling. The wife and I had some of that round one this morning for breakfast with butter and honey on it, and I mean, it was really good. It really turned out nice. So I'm hoping the other one. Now, the ones I baked her last week, the reasons why I didn't give it to her, you see right over here on the right hand side, those little uh, where it just sort of sticks out a little bit. That's dough that for some reason, um, usually it's from when I overproof the pan. Hey, morning, Digi. Usually that's from when I overproof the bread and it sticks. So, it doesn't fall back into the pan. But I didn't overproof yesterday. So I don't know what caused it. But the ones I did last week, man, I just had that all over the place and it just looked nasty. But I mean, I overproofed it so badly last week that the dough actually, I had to pull the burner out of the bottom of the oven and wash the burner itself, the heating coils, because the dough got all over it. It was all over the bottom of my oven. I mean, it just made a mess. I really screwed up last week, let it overproof. So I paid a lot more attention to it this week. But yeah, that's really, I mean, I'm really happy with the bread. I'm going to be glad, I'll be happy to give this to the woman today. But so that's what I was messing with yesterday. Yesterday after I got off the stream. So let me go ahead and pull that down. Hey, Raman, did you get your new mic in? Good morning. Did you get your mic? Yeah, that bread did turn out good, and it really tasted good too. So I'm happy with it. But I really monitored that bread yesterday. Still on the way. Oh no. Oh well. All right. Well, some news that just popped up this morning. Where is it? Popped up about 45 minutes ago. Ukraine blew up a bridge. There's the video of it. This bridge connects Russia to Crimea, and Ukraine decided to blow it up this morning. Ukraine said on Tuesday it hit the bridge connecting Russia and the occupied Crimean peninsula with explosive planted underwater. Third attack on the vital supply line for Moscow's forces since the war began. They just don't want peace. That's all there is to it. They just do not want peace. No matter what Trump does, at this point, screw him. I've never been a big support. I've never supported us sending all the military stuff and money over there to start with. But at this point, I mean, since they don't even want peace, cut off the faucets. Anything that we still have over there, bring it back, and let them go to hell in their own handbasket. This is real, just absolute nonsense. That where Trump's trying to get peace made over there, and it's not happening. So just let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let them go to hell the way they want to go. Yep. For somebody crying about needing peace because their country's under attack by the big bad Russian bear, they're not doing much to get peace. An article I forgot about, I wanted to talk about the other day. A judge in Harrisburg Sonia McKnight. She's going to be spending 13 years in prison for shooting her ex-boyfriend through the head. She's sentenced to, well, it's a minimum of 13. It's 13 and a half years to 30 years for attempting to murder. Man, that judges. And the reason why I'm bringing her up is there is a Cuyahoga judge, Cuyahoga, Ohio. That is in a bit of trouble. Um, she's where is okay? Let me get this spelled right. Okay, man, I can't believe I'm getting. I cannot believe that I have lost this page like I did. Whoops, wrong one. Wrong one. Okay. Well, anyway, there's this Cuyahoga, Ohio judge who decided that it would be best to give people a chance to, instead of going to jail, would sentence them to go to say, all right, either you go to jail or go vote. You've got a choice. And it's just absolutely wild. Okay, here we go. I found the video on it, and I will play the video in just a second as soon as I get past the ad. Okay, here we go. I know, I know. I am so ill prepared. It's not funny, but that's what happens when you're me trying to do too many things in the morning.
Millions of others don't. But here in Cuyahoga County, one judge is under fire for ordering dozens of defendants to cast a ballot or face jail time. That's about to change after the investigator Tom Meyer demanded answers.
I am your voice.
At every election, the Constitution protects your right to choose a candidate. It also gives you the right to stay home and not vote. Your vote, your choice. Unless you're standing before Judge Cassandra Collier-Williams. In dozens of cases, Collier-Williams gave defendants an unusual, some say unconstitutional, choice. Go to the
Well, I mean, some say it is very unconstitutional. You cannot. Australia does this. It is by law you have to go vote. You are actually breaking the law if you don't vote. In the United States, you've got freedom of choice, and that includes the choice not to vote. You get the freedom to bitch and whine all you want, but you got the right to pick who you want. You got the right to write in a Mickey Mouse's name. Mickey Mouse ought to win an election someday because he gets written in a lot. Him and Donald Duck. But to have a judge actually tell you to go vote or go to jail, that's about as unconstitutional as possible.
voting booth or go to jail. For Rayshawn Dawson, it was an easy call.
I just go to jail.
At his sentencing last May, the judge ordered him to register to vote.
I felt like it was a violation of my rights.
Dawson simply ignored the judge's mandate, despite the possibility of violating his probation.
I mean, it should be my choice if I vote or not. I shouldn't be in fear of going to jail or being incarcerated because I choose not to vote.
Legal experts agree. They say the judge requiring someone to vote tramples their First Amendment rights.
And the deciding not to vote is probably a very personal decision that a judge shouldn't interfere with.
Here at the
This is the same person. This is the same type of judge. Think about it now. This is the same judge or type of judge that will sit there and think they've got the power to tell the president what he can and can't do because they are a judge and they are an upholder of the Constitution. Yeah, Raman, you're right. He was brave. And unfortunately, he can't sue the judge for doing that. That judge, and as soon as she made the first person, she should have been slapped down and removed from office. Because that's about as unconstitutional as it get, and yet that judge is sitting there making that order.
Justice Center, the judge ordered dozens of defendants to the polls over the past 2 years. To stay out of jail, they had 30 days to register and then vote in every election.
The ACLU was the first to challenge the judge in 2015.
People choose not to vote, that shouldn't mean that they're sent directly back to jail.
The judge argued she's always issued the voting requirement with good intentions.
Our job is not just to tear down defendants. We're trying to build them up.
By ordering somebody to do something against their will, something that they have the constitutional right not to do, if they don't want to. And question, are you going to ask them who they voted for, and if they voted for somebody you didn't like Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck? What are you going to do then?
Collier Williams stopped the practice last week after Channel 3 News began asking questions.
My opinion was that unless I see a basis to not do it, then we'll continue doing it.
The judge says no one was jailed for not voting and no one pressured her. Rather, constitutional concerns helped change her mind.
It took her 2 years of complaints by people to finally think through that skull of hers that there's a constitutional question about whether or not she had the right. People, this is why we need to watch out, not just our elected officials, but what our judges are doing in our names. This woman, she's doing some other things too.
Didn't want to continue doing it if there is a possibility that perhaps it should not be done.
It took 2 years for the judge to see the light. So what's the verdict on the judge's decision to end her vote or jail order?
So I feel like basically that the truth was unraveling and the violation of people's rights. I feel like that's why she stopped doing it.
In Ohio, convicted felons are permitted to vote as long as they're not in prison. It's their choice. As for those already sentenced by Judge Collier Williams, it's now the job of probation officers to tell defendants they once again have a choice to make on Election Day: vote or stay home. I'm the investigator, Tom Meyer.
Now, what brought this woman to my attention was Nate the lawyer did a piece on this. Yeah, it's like she never went to law school. Nate the lawyer did a piece on her that I saw this morning. And she is absolutely a nutcase. Now, I'm not going to steal Nate's thunder here, but I highly recommend you go watch his video from this morning. I highly recommend you go watch it. Because this judge is exactly the type of person we do not want as a judge. I don't, there's a lot of judges out there, I disagree with their rulings. I really, they've either been, usually it's because they've been way too lenient. Rarely because they've been way too hard, but usually because they've been way too lenient on someone. This judge, she should never be allowed within 100 yards of a courthouse again unless she's going in as a defendant. She really and truly, she's one of the one thing I will say that she's, a, it's not a direct quotation from her, but it's enough that, she's one of these people that, there needs to be the judge to represent the defendant in front of her, in front of them. That judge needs to be somebody that the defendant should be able to look up and say, that could be me. Yeah, I that's exactly that's not the type of judge we need. We don't need we need a judge up there that when they're looking down on that individual, the only thing that individual should be looking up at that judge and thinking is, I am going to get a fair trial. This judge is going to treat me fairly. Regardless, I'm going to get the same treatment before this judge as anybody else would before this judge. That's what we should be seeing when we look up at a judge, is either a the defendant or the person bringing the lawsuit or the charges. And honestly, this woman's not it. But like I said, I'm not going to. Nate the lawyer had a really good piece on her. If you're not subbed to Nate, you really should be. I really and truly like his outlook, the way he breaks things down. So okay, so let's get to what I was actually planning on, or got there in my thing. Oh, Dar, good morning.
Ahoy.
And how are you doing today?
I'm okay, I guess. So what's going on this bright, beautiful Tuesday?
Well, I showed off some bread that I baked yesterday that I'm going to give some of it away today. Rather good looking bread. And then talked about Zelensky blowing up a bridge between Russia
Bridge
and
over the river. Why?
Now, it wasn't the bridge. It wasn't the bridge on the River Kwai.
Yeah, okay.
I need to watch that movie again. I haven't watched that movie in probably about 5 years.
Well, I haven't watched it probably like 30 years, but
That I need to watch that and King Rat again. Have you ever watched King Rat?
I'm not familiar with it.
Oh,
Of course, I'm mostly familiar with movies in color, so.
King Rat's in color. So is the bridge on the River Kwai.
Yeah, I know the bridge on the River Kwai is because I've seen it.
Okay.
That's the reason I made the joke, because I thought it was fun.
Okay. But yeah, King Rat's it's a in cases of, you've seen the movie Stalag 13,
Yes.
okay? This is about a Japanese POW camp, multinational POW camp. British, American, Australian, ran by the Japanese. So, I don't know if it's got any basis in truth or not, but it's there. Okay. The U.S. Attorney for Boulder had a press conference yesterday, and this was his announcement.
My office has charged Mohammed Sabri Solomon, age 45, with the commission of a hate crime under
Okay, stop it right there for a moment. I have said for years, ever since this hate crime became a thing, I think it was under Obama?
Yeah, something like that.
When hate crimes started to become a thing. I do not believe in charging somebody with a hate crime. You charge them.
Yeah.
You charge
It's
them
either
with a
crime or
crime.
it's not. Kind of got to agree with you there because, because murder is a crime. So if you murder somebody because of whatever reason, right, you're still committing a crime no matter what. So the whole hate crime thing just doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense to me. Never has.
It's my
Because
opinion that the whole hate
murder is
crime.
worse because you didn't like the person. It's still murder. I mean,
Right.
that's kind of the way I look at it, but I could be a weirdo.
Well, it's my opinion the whole reason behind hate crimes is because they felt there were people out there who felt that other people weren't being sentenced to long enough because the crimes, the law said they could only be sentenced to 5 years, and that just wasn't long enough.
Yeah.
So we need to find a way of sentencing them longer. We know we'll create a new crime that we can just tack on. We can make it a hate crime. We can criminalize their thoughts.
What are we, England, all of a sudden?
And that, to me, that's where this whole hate crime, that's to me the whole premise behind hate crimes. Just a way of adding more time to somebody's prison sentence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Would not argue.
The laws didn't allow enough time to be sentenced.
18 U.S.C. Section 249. When that offense includes attempted murder, the statutory maximum federal sentence is life in prison. No one should ever be subjected to violence of any kind. But our laws recognize that such violence is particularly pernicious when someone is targeted because of their race, their religion, or their national origin. According to our complaint,
he left out gender because it's now a hate, it's a hate crime if you attack somebody for.
But okay, so let's break this down just a little further, just out of just for my pure sake of being pedantic. So these people, mostly old people, were marching to support Israel. Does that make them Jewish or Israeli? Probably not. They're just probably people showing their support. So
bringing attention to the people still being held hostage.
Right, exactly. So that's kind of where I'm like, is it really based on race, religion, or any of that kind of stuff, or is it just, this guy's like, they're supporting my enemy, so therefore I'm going after him. So it's still terrorism. It's still attempted murder. It's still, uh, deadly weapon in public, city limits, all that kind of stuff. So I mean, there's still plenty of stuff to charge him with and get him life in prison.
Yeah. And I said yesterday, and I'll say it again today. If there'd just been one person there who had a concealed weapon,
There wouldn't be an
for
issue now with it.
self-protection,
Yeah.
all this would be for naught right now. It would never be happening.
So you want to hear something really funny about Colorado?
What's that?
All right. So in the state of Colorado, you can carry a firearm anywhere you want to, anytime you want, except for Denver and Boulder. Just so you know.
Yeah. Okay, that does not surprise me whatsoever.
Yeah, because I just recently made a trip to Colorado.
Ah,
So I went and I checked the rules on that, right? And it's like, yeah, so that's the reason, because I have a lot of family there. So
so if you've got a Colorado concealed weapons permit, you still can't carry in those two cities.
well, yeah, you can with a concealed permit, you can carry in those cities, right? But anywhere else in the state of Colorado, you can carry open.
Ah,
you know,
okay.
all that kind of stuff, except for those two cities. And even then, it's like, it's pretty, yeah, because Colorado doesn't really have a lot of rules except for those two cities,
Yeah.
which I find hilarious.
But if there just been one person there that been able to draw their weapon and in not only for self-protection but for the protection of others,
That's right.
then the money that would be saved in holding this idiot in prison and giving him a trial, he's probably going to get a public defender.
More than likely. So
Go.
I heard something interesting about this. Thought I'd share. So they're talking about deporting his son because he has 5 kids.
Well, I know he's here illegally from Egypt. I don't know anything about his family.
Yeah, so but he has 5 kids living here, and if should they not? So the question came up: should they also be deported?
If they're here
And
illegally,
then most deaf, yeah, most deaf. So I just thought I would bring that up just as a curious side note, not as trying to change
that's
subject.
something I'll have to look into to see if his family's here illegally also.
And the charges brought by DA Doherty's office, Mr. Solomon stated that he had been planning this attack for a year. And he acted because he hated what he called the Zionist group. But what the charges allege that he did was to throw Molotov cocktails at a group of men and women, some of them in their late 80s, burning them as they peacefully walked on a Sunday to draw attention to Israeli hostages held in Gaza. And when he was interviewed about the attack,
I hate the way this guy talks. I mean, could he talk any slower? It reminds me of somebody that's went through first and second year drama classes.
Probably went to a public speaking course.
Okay, yeah.
And
he said he wanted them all.
Also, just so you know, that's a very Colorado thing.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
I used to go when back in '78. I went to Boulder several times, but that's the last time I've been in Colorado is in '78. So
Yeah, so Colorado, they do have a different kind of cadence there. Yeah, so, I've spent a lot of years working in New Jersey and that, so it put an edge on me. And I speak much differently than I did as a kid growing up in Colorado.
oh, I lost my I all but lost my Ohio accent when uh, by the time I left Germany.
Yeah, see, you and I have what's called the military amalgam accent. And because being in the military for so long, you pick up little bits of everybody else's accent and kind of blend it into what's called the military amalgam accent. So you have some of your speech patterns will be like you're from like Ohio, Indiana. Some of your speech patterns will be like you're from New York or different places. So your speech patterns change over the years because of all the different accents that you're been surrounded by for all those years.
Yeah.
All to die. He had no regrets, and he would go back and do it again. He said that he had previously tried to purchase a firearm, but resorted to the Molotov cocktails when he could not purchase a gun because he was not a legal citizen. I remind you that Mr. Solomon is presumed innocent until proven guilty.
Let's see. There's video evidence of him doing this. Really, all the prosecutor should have to do. This should be a very short trial. All the prosecutor should have to do is play the video of him that had been compiled by the people there off of their cell phones. His statement, yes, I did it and I planned it. One day, turn over to the defense. Now, the defense portion of it may take longer, but the prosecution part, if it takes more than a day, then they're just doing it to waste time. I mean, there's nothing else there. I mean, the guy was caught in the act, and plenty of video evidence of him doing it.
My office and our partners hope justice will help heal the people in this community and in the communities throughout the country shaken by yesterday's attack. We fully intend to hold Mr. Solomon accountable for his actions, and these charges are the first step.
Thanks for.
Okay. Yeah, Raman, I can hear a little bit of a Hispanic accent when you're talking.
Yeah, every once in a while, her
Your cadence.
New York, Puerto Rican accent just comes barreling out of her.
Now, of course, this whole thing is becoming is nationwide. This attack in Colorado. Now, unfortunately, this next one I could not find it any other place besides here. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to play it off of X. But it's Ted Cruz. Now, Ted has been a serious disappointment to me. Oh man, I screwed up, didn't I?
Is very concerned about this. He's a member of the.
Okay, so let me get. How do I get rid of this picture-in-picture nonsense?
I do not know.
There we go. All right. So that's okay. There we go. Come on,
The
thank.
Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator, will Congress make a change to this visa system? I mean, this is going back 26 years, what the 9/11 Commission warned about.
Look, there's no doubt we need to. Here's the sad reality. Democrats will filibuster any effort to bring sanity to securing our border. I'll tell you, during the entire Biden presidency, the open borders we had, Alejandro Mayorkas was impeached.
Of course, you know, I'm glad that this is sort of opening a doorway back into another aspect of the border situations, that this guy coming to the country illegally, he's been living here for a number of years, raising a family. And the failures of the Biden administration and Mayorkas and every member of that administration in allowing what has happened to happen, the millions of illegals coming across the border. And this is something that needs to be discussed. And like they said, you know, all the way back from 9/11 in 2021 or 2001. What am I thinking? 2021, back in 2001. This is something that, you know, we've been saying for a long time, that the borders need to be made more secure. We need to be looking more at who's actually coming into our country.
Well, I've been saying it for a lot longer than that, but the thing of it is, neither party, you know, both parties like to complain about it, both parties like to talk about it, but nobody really has the cojones to actually do something about it. And that's really where it falls down. See, I'm kind of a mixed bag on Ted Cruz.
I'm very mixed bag on Ted Cruz. He talks a good game, but I see him do very little in actuality.
Yeah, just like any other Republican, doesn't really do much anything, talks about it, talks a great game to get reelected, but doesn't really do much about it. So that's the thing. And, you know, again, I'm going to go all the way back to 2020 when, you know, we had the presidency, we had the Congress, we had the whole Congress, the House and the Senate. And guess what? We still have Obamacare. So I'm just saying.
Well, a lot of the problem with, a lot of the problem with in 2016 with Trump's first term was we had Ryan in the House as the House Speaker. And he was then and is still now a never Trumper.
Yeah.
So he was doing absolutely nothing to advance Trump's agenda. And just like Johnson today is doing damned little to advance the agenda. Yeah,
well, he's actually doing more than Ryan did.
They pushed through this big, beautiful bill. All right, fine. That's fine and dandy. But that does, what about all the other stuff? They've been on vacation more times than not. They've had plenty of time to get these bills in place and moving to back up the executive orders that Trump has been putting. Trump's done his work. He's been putting out executive order after executive order. I may not agree with all of them, but he's been doing the job that he said he was going to do when he got there. But our House has done and Johnson has done damn little to back him up because, as we know, a Republican executive order can be overdrawn, overwritten day
By the
one
next
of
president.
Democrats' presidency. Because one of the reasons why is because the Republicans are cowards and they haven't learned from the Democrats to use the judicial system to, to stymie. I've got video here that you'll understand where I'm going at with that later on.
Impeached for willfully defying federal law, and every single Senate Democrat voted to dismiss the claim. They didn't even want to hear one whit of evidence. Of all of the victories we've seen in the first 5 months of the Trump presidency, none is more important than the victories securing the border. We have seen, almost from the moment President Trump put his hand on the Bible, we've seen illegal crossings drop over 99%. And I'll tell you, in this big, beautiful bill, we're going to provide funding to build the wall, to hire more agents and ICE agents in detention facilities. But the Democrats continue just to embrace open borders. And apparently what they think America needs is more illegal immigrants, more gang members, more murderers, rapists, and more terrorists like this lunatic in Boulder, Colorado. Yes.
Yeah, it's obviously 24 years since 9/11, Senator, but more than 2 hours, I believe, after the Boulder attack, Andrew McCabe, that infamous font of reasoned thinking, slammed the FBI for saying it was an act of terror. Watch this.
It's hard to imagine that the FBI has more or better information at this point to kind of rush out with the conclusion within like 10 minutes after we all started hearing about this, that it's a targeted act of terror. It may very well be.
How could it not have been a targeted act of terror? How could you not know that this wasn't a targeted attack?
Yeah, that's pretty much well, Andrew McCabe's not the brightest of the bunch.
But he's out here on CNN and MSNBC saying, the two liberal fountains of spewing talking points.
Yeah, see, here's the problem. Here's what, and this is just my perspective, and this comes from talking to, a lot of people in my life, is a lot of people, they hear it on the news and they believe it. Well, the news said, so it must be true.
And see, the next point to this, though, is the content creators on TikTok and YouTube, the shorts. And, we all laugh about TikTok.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's much more influential. Thank you.
Is that the word you were trying to say?
Yes. With younger people than you and I would really care to hope about.
Oh, yeah, I know that for a fact.
And these content creators on there, like Harry Sisson and Dean Parker and such, they take Andrew McCabe's talking points and they broadcast that out to their 4, 5, and 6 million followers.
Yeah. And then they believe it because their favorite TikToker said it was so.
Right. Their favorite content creator said this was so, and here is my proof that it's so. I've got Andrew McCabe saying it. So it's not just me, but it's this old guy with the white hair saying it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's kind of how it works. They mimic whatever the news puts out.
So this is where the problems
the propaganda is going from the newsroom to TikTok.
Yeah. Right. And Blue Sky, and what's that other one? There's another new one out there. Whoops, I accidentally shut off my phone.
Well, I know Blue Sky is not very well not a lot of people on there.
X Shorts is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
That's another new one that's out there. And it's just absolutely, I mean, these are where these younger left wingers get their stuff.
Yeah.
But most of the time you try to be very careful about attaching that label to an attack until you have solid evidence that.
Yeah, the only time they don't wait, and let me back that up.
That label to an attack until you have solid. Most of the time you try to be very careful about attaching that label to an attack until you have solid evidence that indicates a motive.
When's the last time you've heard a liberal wait to accuse Republicans or conservatives? You know, this is a typical racist attack, white supremacy at work.
Yeah.
They the body or whatever are not even cool, not cold, cool. Heartbeats are still going on, and the left is already labeling problems as being white supremacy, or it's them Nazis, those maggots over there that follow Donald Trump. Now, like, you know, most times, anytime we can't direct something against a conservative, then we need to wait before we can apply these kind of labels. That's what this man means.
That would qualify as terrorism. Like,
now, Senator, the fact that this guy was at such a high level at the FBI and helped lead the efforts against Donald Trump with the scam Russia investigation, and this is what he offers then?
Look, he's a left-wing radical, and he's committed to lying. We also saw the Boulder Police Department say, well, we don't know that it's terrorism. This guy was a lunatic who was at a pro-Israel protest, elderly Jewish people, including a Holocaust survivor there, calling for the release of hostages taken on October 7th. And this guy screams Free Palestine and lights them on fire. And you look at CNN, by the way, the New York Times didn't mention in their coverage this guy was an illegal immigrant. It's reminiscent. You remember the earlier terror attack in New Orleans, where this lunatic drove a truck into a crowd with an ISIS flag behind it. And what did the career FBI person there say? Well, we don't know that this is terrorism. You know what? When you fly an ISIS flag and murder people, we do know it's terrorism. It is obvious, and it's a political agenda that they don't want to acknowledge. These are radical Islamic terrorists. By the way, we've seen in the last 2 months, we've seen elderly Jewish people lit on fire by radical leftist Islamists. We've seen a beautiful young Jewish couple murdered here in Washington, D.C. simply because they're Jews. And the guy was a leftist from Chicago. He wasn't Palestinian. He was just a leftist ideologue who screamed free Palestine.
And this is what one of the things I was talking about yesterday. This Free Palestine movement in the United States, where did it start? It started at our colleges. And the left-wing chancellors and presidents and other staff, if they didn't actually join in and actively support, they supported it by allowing it to happen. And it spread out, you know, I mean, again, through TikTok, through Twitter, through X Shorts, through Blue Sky, through these left-wing content creators. And now you can't, I had to go to go see a doctor. On the way out there, you know, in my 40-minute drive out to see my doctor, I passed a half a dozen houses with Free Palestine signs in front of them. that, and I'll guarantee you, these are all people under 30 that live in those houses. I'll guarantee, because they're all out near the college.
And then we also saw the Jewish governor of Pennsylvania, the governor's mansion firebombed with a radical that wanted to murder him and his entire family. This is a poisonous ideology, and it's one.
And that's funny about the Pennsylvania governor. He's a Democrat. He's a hardcore leftist.
Yes, he is.
I don't even think he supports Israel in any way, shape, and or form. So,
but he is Jewish.
But he is Jewish, and that's all that matters.
That flourished under Joe Biden and the Democrats.
Now, campus reform. This next video. This is from campus reform. And I'm not going to play the whole 5 minutes. There's just this first part, and I think this you can tell by what it says below here. The Intifada is on American soil, and I honestly, again, this is my personal belief. It's been here. It's been here for several years. It's been here for a decade or more.
Or more.
I mean, the 9/11 didn't happen in a vacuum. Those guys did not get everything they needed on their own. They had support within the country.
It's really under disturbing circumstances here. We've been tracking a lot of this, starting with the protests on college campuses. Some of them turned anti-Semitic, and now we're seeing all-out violence on the streets. We saw it in D.C., and we're seeing in Boulder, Colorado, with people set on fire. Are you seeing a correlation here from what started a couple years ago with, of course, October 7th, and now on college campuses, and now what we're seeing actually on the streets?
Absolutely. The Intifada is on American soil right now because people in higher education wanted it that way. They've spent the last year and a half chanting free, free Palestine, and that they'll eradicate Jews from the river to the sea. And that is exactly what the terrorist in Boulder, Colorado chanted as he set people on fire. And that is exactly what the assassin said after he shot 2 Jews in Washington, D.C.
I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I've not made a secret that I'm a supporter of Israel. I've not made that a secret whatsoever. I hope I'm not doing confirmation bias here. And that's one thing I try hard not to, that's one trap I try hard not to fall into. That's why I make my personal opinions point blank out there. Let you, so that people know where I'm coming from. But, and Darv, your military background?
Yes, I am.
This is, we were taught things, whether we wanted to learn them or not.
Yeah, pretty much.
We were taught things about how nothing ever happens in a vacuum.
Yeah.
And even at I was not military intelligence or anything. I was a wrench turner on F-15s. But we were still taught that nothing happens in a vacuum, and you always look not at an individual instance, occurrence, but you look at a much bigger picture and see where everything fits in together.
Well, yeah, but that again, that is, troubleshooting 101.
For you and I, it is.
Yeah.
For you and I, it is. But for many people, it's not, because they've never had the training. They've never been through the classes. They've never
troubleshot anything. So, because if something's broken, you just don't assume, oh, it's the thermostat. You have to go through and, okay, so let me give a better example. All right. So when you first join the Navy, they show you this film. It's called Trial by Fire. It's the USS Forrestal, right? And then right after that, they show you a film about line snapback. These guys with no legs and stuff talking about how important it is to be careful around heavy lines. And then once you see these two movies and you're like, what did I get myself into? This guy stands up in front of you and says this. He goes, every bit of safety gear that we tell you have to wear, there's a reason for it. There's a reason why you wear steel-toe boots, because somebody got their toes cut off. There's a reason you wear head protection out on the flight line, because someone lost the top of their head to, either a rotary wing or a fixed wing, right? Whatever the case may be. So that is exactly that nothing happens in a vacuum. We do not have these rules just to make your life miserable. These rules are there for a reason, right? And yeah, so if you just, as a casual observer, see all these college students doing this stuff and then putting out this rhetoric that Trump is worse than Hitler and all that, and then that the Jewish people are committing genocide, then you have a moral imperative to go out and stop the genocide. That you have to do your part, right?
Yeah.
But there is no genocide. So just the rhetoric that they're putting out is causing this. There is a cause and effect. Yeah, like I said, nothing happens in a vacuum. We see it. It's all you have to do is open your eyes and look. Hey, Digi, what's up?
And and because of this is why I have to agree with this man when he says that the Intifada is in the country and has been in the country. And
we're just not paying attention.
And we just haven't done anything about it.
Yeah.
In the last 4 years, with the open borders, has done nothing but exacerbate the problem.
That is a hate fact, but I'm willing to go with it.
So that's why I told you I wasn't going to play his full 5 minutes. I just wanted to play that one section there.
Yeah, no, that is
okay.
is a valuable thing to play.
Now, have you heard of a company called Palantir before?
What?
Palantir, Palantir.
Sounds familiar, but
okay.
Not 100%.
This is a teal company.
As in Peter Thiel?
Yes.
Peter Thiel, however it's pronounced.
Okay, I want to start off this next discussion with this. Let's see, where is this is it here.
Didn't he run for president?
Yeah, I think he did. Many years ago. Now, this here is a short opinion piece, and y'all know that I do not, I'm a Trump supporter, but there's been a lot of times I've disagreed with him. And this is going to be, I've got a feeling, one of those times. There's a lot more to what this is going on with this company than I've been reading on this now for 2.5 days. And there is so much going on here. It's not funny. But I want to start off with this. This is a guy by name, he goes by Older Millennial. Oh, come on.
Can't hear anything.
The audio's not coming through?
Not on my end. I can't hear it. How about you guys? Can you hear something?
Okay. All right. I did a stop share on that.
Turn up.
Okay. I was getting the audio, but if you guys weren't. Okay, Digi, you have a good day. Hope it goes very well for you. Lord Snuggie, good morning to you.
Hey, Lord Snuggie. What's going on, man?
All right, so we'll cover. Okay. The Trump okay, this here, okay, starting off with, this is an article by the New Republic. All right, so it's bias as it's bias. All right. Trump taps Palantir to create a new master database on every American. Trump's dystopian plan is already underway. Trump administration is collecting data on all Americans, and they are enlisting the data analyst company Palantir to do it. The New York Times, and I tried to get the New York Times, but I'm not paying their subscription fees.
Yeah.
All right.
New York Times.
Right, has enlisted the firm founded by far-right billionaire Peter Thiel to carry out his March executive order instructing government agencies to share data with each other. Now, I remember when that executive order went out, I was like, okay, I think this is a good thing for the different agencies to share data. You know, that way it's catch Medicare fraud, welfare, just catch welfare fraud, and all other types of fraud.
Yeah, not only that, but like if you're hunting somebody down, you should be able to share that information from agency to agency, which was the whole reason Homeland Security Department was founded, was just for that, to share information.
Because the FBI and CIA weren't talking to each other, and that helped 9/11 to happen.
Yep.
At least that's what the excuse was for the creation of DHS.
Yeah, that was the most. That was the reason given. Yes.
So the order is
on paper.
I'm sorry.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just said, yeah, it looked good on paper.
Yeah, it did look. It always looks good. Plans always look good on paper.
Yeah.
The order has increased fears that the government is putting together a database to wield surveillance powers over the American people. Since then, the administration has been quiet. In fact, Palantir has taken more than $113 million in additional dollars in government spending since Trump's taken office, from existing contracts and new ones. The number is expected to grow. Firm just won a $795 million contract with the Department of Defense. I do not like the idea of a private company being involved here in creating this database.
But so, all right, so is that what they're doing, or what exactly? See, that's the thing. Without knowing exactly what they're doing and why they're doing it, without I'm not going to speak on it, because this could be something as simple as I don't think they're, but I don't know what it is exactly, the database they're creating, what information that's in it or anything else. But one of the fears that I have is because, they keep talking about universal background checks for firearms, correct?
Right.
All right. So in order to do a truly universal background check, they would need a database of all gun owners.
Mm-hmm. Which
And
the ATF has, and they've been caught with and have been told to destroy, and they haven't done it yet.
Yes. So that being said, as you got to be careful what databases and stuff you create, because the next administration can use that database against Americans. Now, because we all know Congress loves to do stuff that's not good for us.
Right.
It hurts us.
Right here in this article, the next paragraph specifically says is that Palantir is taking various agencies across the government, including Social Security, IRS, Department of Health and Human Services, and DHS, and at least 2 other agencies. They're not saying what the other 2 agencies are. They're trying to get Social Security, Selective Service, and Medicare.
Right. So if that's the case, this may be something way more innocent than what they're making it out to be. Because I know one of the things they did is they looked at Social Security, right? And you have people who are like 300 years old still getting payments.
Right.
So this could be not so much that they're creating a database as what they're doing is going through the data in that and cleaning up bad data, checking Social Security records against death records, that sort of thing.
But again, going back to the ATF issue, once that database is created, once that data is thrown into the database, who says it actually gets deleted or removed or whatever as it's supposed to be, and who's going to look at it 5 years from now? What are they going to do with that information?
Right, exactly. So, yeah, while this stuff does need to be cleaned up, I wholeheartedly agree. The manner in which they do it matters, because the next administration can use that against us.
Exactly.
So it's always, they go into these things, but do they really think it through? So I don't know if this is good, bad, or indifferent. And it may, like I say, it may be way more innocent than what they're making it out to be. So I'm really not willing to comment at this time, negatively or positively on it without knowing more.
Well, okay. as I said, I've been looking other places. Another place I went to is also Reason Magazine.
Right.
All right. Again, now I'm not looking for confirmations. I don't look at just conservative or Trump supporting places. I'm going over to the left.
Yeah, you have to look at all places. Yeah, agreed.
Because sometimes, and then, I understand that they're going to be a bit hyperbolic. Whereas conservative sites are going to play down things, the liberal sites are going to play them up. But it's like it says here, if you think the government will only use these tools to track illegals, think again. And like you and I just said, Dar, what this administration does with this information, it could be totally different than what the next administration does.
Right. And that's, that's a concern. It really is. And are they really, and here's the other thing, are they really creating new databases, putting people in them, or are they just cleaning out old databases that they already have? So that's, or, it could be that they are taking the old databases, cleaning them up, and putting into a new program or something of that nature, because almost all
just
programs
combining all of them.
Database. Right. So, so there's a lot more to this than what meets the eye. And of course, people are going to pick out their own little talking points and carry those forward. One side will pick out some talking points, but nobody's really going to give us the whole enchilada.
Right.
And without that, it's too hard to get too up in arms, but then in another way, you kind of just want to keep an eye on them and, hold their feet to the fire.
Snuggie, I don't trust politicians.
I don't trust anybody in government. And I haven't for years, because remember, we're from the never trust anybody over 30 generation, the don't let the man keep you down generation.
I'm from the anybody who seeks power should not be trusted with it.
Well, yeah, that's all part of that never trust anybody over 30 and don't let the man get you down sort of thing.
Now, it's like the people in the military. God, and I know you had to run under these. The guys who actually, oh yes, I want to make sure I become flight chief, or I want to be the person.
Oh, yeah.
I want to go over there to quality assurance.
I want to be in charge.
I want to go over to the inspection section where I come out and review everybody's work to make sure that they're doing their jobs the way they're supposed to be done. I hated the people that volunteered to go to those jobs.
Yeah, the respect my authority people.
Right. Because inevitably they were the ones who sat there and just, they couldn't do the job, but they're going to be the ones sitting there telling you you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, and not only that, but they want to make your life miserable. They want to be in charge. And most of them are either screamers, so something goes wrong, right? They don't know how to fix it, so they scream at you until you fix it.
Right.
And those are like the worst kind of people. And I have worked for many of them.
And that's what scares me about having this kind of a database out there. Yeah, I understand Social Security's got to have their database. I understand DHS has theirs. I understand the different agencies have to have theirs. And I also understand that sometimes they need to communicate with each other. The Social Security people need to communicate with the Medicare people so that when somebody dies, Medicare and Social Security are both cut off. So the checks stop rolling to the families, where the families are cashing in checks on dead people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that makes sense. But when you start throwing having all these agencies having all their one massive database that you put in somebody's name or their social security number or however you want it, they're going to be a person's going to be identified by in their whatever search parameters they're inputting, and it pops up with all your information that the government has on you, including how many times you've flown because you bought tickets through TSA or you did TSA pre-check. Because when you fly now, you have to hold up your ID and it takes a picture of your ID. I saw that when I took my wife to the airport to fly to Ohio. TSA actually takes a picture of your driver's license and it has to match up with their database, or else they've got to manually confirm you are who you say you are. And I saw one guy miss his flight because they couldn't confirm for some reason. So don't change your hair. If you're planning on flying, go back to whatever hairstyle and however if you'd grown a beard since your last driver's license, make sure you shave it off. If you've shaved off your beard, go get a new driver's license showing that you don't have a beard.
Well, I have decided that I'm just not going to fly anymore unless I absolutely have to, and even then I'll try to get out of it.
But I can I understand why they want to do this, but I've got a lot of fears about it. I've got a lot of concerns.
And again, I don't know that they are creating new databases or if they're just so I really don't know what they're doing. So yeah, but this is a good thing to keep our eyes on to find out what happens with it.
So that, and like I said, even a president I like and I voted for, I'm keeping an eye on everything he's doing. Because I won't necessarily agree with everything he's done. It's like, so, but anyway. Now, this was funny. State legislators, sometimes they have a tendency, their little talking back and forth has a tendency to get a little quippy when they go back and forth. Now, this is Texas, and Texas has been on a ban happy here lately. Banning they want to ban children under 18 from being on social media, period.
It's not really banning. So, because we talk about banning books and all that, there's been no bans. There has been
restrictions
and controls. And so we need to be careful how we use that word ban.
Right. You're right. You're 100% right.
Sorry, I'm not to be pedantic. I'm just,
Well, no, you're 100% right, because I argue this banned book mess of the left all the time. I spent 2 hours arguing with it the other night. This lady says that she gets a banned book. She joined a banned book club where she gets a banned book every month. Well, then how are you getting it if the book's banned?
Yeah, if it's banned, how are you getting it? Exactly. So that's the thing. It's not really a ban so much as it's, restrictions and that.
Local libraries have determined that local governments, libraries, whatever, have determined that taxpayer dollars would not be spent on purchasing such books to put into either a public library or a school library, or made available at taxpayer expense to children under the age of 18 or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not banning the book. That's just saying if you as a parent want your child to read this book, you need to spend your money doing it because you're not going to get it at taxpayer expense. The book's not banned.
No, it's not.
You
So
can
there's a big
still
difference.
you can still order it and buy it. You can still go down to Barnes and Nobles or I can't remember the name of the other bookstore. Million something books.
Books a Million.
Books a Million. You
I
can
didn't even know
go
they were
down
still in
there.
existence.
Yep. Yeah. There's one down by the college.
Of course, there's one in Florida because Florida's where everything comes to die. People, businesses.
So anyway, they're talking about this a banning of LGBT clubs in Texas. And evidently this Jeff Leach is a supporter of such a ban. But that's not what any of this is about.
Yes, I will. Gentlemen, yield some questions.
Representative Leach, are you aware that my grandfather was an assistant attorney general for the state of Texas?
No.
Okay, and 3 brownie points for you.
Yeah, your point.
Congratulations.
Are you aware that he represented Texas in front of the United States Supreme Court? No.
Okay, 3 more brownie points for you.
9 times?
No.
Oh, 9 more. So you've got a total of 15 brownie points because a relative of yours
actually did something.
Was a state attorney general, argued before the Supreme Court 9 times. Yay! What is this sort of like a Star Trek DS9 where he didn't die, he was just implanted into your body, so you've got all of his knowledge and everything implanted into you?
Are you aware that my dad...
Oh, I got to back this up.
Are you aware that my dad worked for Oscar Mayer for 25 years and drove the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile?
Ooh, that was funny.
I mean, it was it's.
Well, she should have made a point. So, but because she didn't, he's like, "Yeah, what's your point?"
Congratulations.
Basically, what he's saying.
Are you aware that he represented Texas in front of the United States Supreme Court 9 times?
No. Are you aware that my dad worked for Oscar Mayer for 25 years and drove the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile?
Look at the expression on her face.
Yeah.
That talk
She didn't
about
find that least bit funny, did she?
How dare you? How dare you insult me like that? I brought up a beloved member of my family who did something important. Your dad only drove the Oscar Mayer truck. I tell you what, I'd rather know a guy who drove the Oscar Mayer truck. I got more questions for him than I do Somebody
Yeah,
that
me
argued in
too.
front of the Supreme Court. I mean, on a cool factor, face it, which is cooler? Knowing somebody that actually drove the Oscar Mayer truck or knowing someone that argued in front of the Supreme Court?
Oh yeah, knowing the dude that drove the Wienermobile, yeah, that is, especially if you could get it right.
Right. And
Just saying.
and that was your dad drove it? Did you get a ride in that thing? What was it like?
I know I have so many questions for this dude.
I do too. I've got questions. I want answers. But that I just love this whole exchange. You know, she's building up and building up. You know,
Yeah,
trying to get
I'm
that
going to tell you how special I am,
and
and you don't got jokes.
how important I am, how important my family is. And he just pulled that rug out from underneath her so damn fast. Now, as far as the underlying bill goes, I haven't read the bill. I don't know much about the bill except what the title was there. You know, banning clubs. I don't think clubs, just because, you know, they've got a chosen customer base. They want to limit their customer base to a certain group. I don't, you know, what's
Well,
next? Banning clubs because, you know, it's they only want over 45 people in there. They don't want
well,
younger
they're
people
not
in there.
talking about nightclubs. They're talking about like clubs at school and stuff, I believe.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, so they're not talking about nightclubs because that's, but so they're saying, why should taxpayers be paying for a social club at school that's only for a certain group of people, and all these clubs should be open to everybody and that sort of thing is what I believe is the main argument on this.
Well, they've got
Which makes sense.
Yeah, but they've got I mean, do they have when I was in school, they had clubs that only girls could join.
Yeah, and only boys could join. We had the same thing, and it's as well as that should be.
You know,
But your alphabet people thing, that's such a small segment of the population. Out of the school of 100, you may have one kid.
I mean, they've got the
So
Hispanic club. I mean, if they're going to ban that club, then they need to ban Hispanic clubs. They need to ban
exactly,
they need
anything
to
based
ban
on racial guide, any of that kind of stuff. Yes,
right.
totally agree. Because when I was in school, we had the basic, after school clubs was like the photography club,
Yearbook.
the yearbook club, yearbook committee that's a committee. It wasn't a club, but you had clubs like the photography club. You had the Letterman's club. Everybody that lettered sports. You had the Future Farmers Club. You had music club. And that was kind of about it for after school. School sanctioned clubs. You didn't have a lot of clubs. You just had a few. And the thing is, we've got to the point where now they want a club for everything. And, because you do have to pay those teachers that are your teacher advisor for those clubs.
Yeah.
And
Because then you'd have the French club, the Spanish club, for people taking those classes, those languages in class, taking classes for those languages. We had the AV club.
Yeah.
Hey, Eagle. Good to see you. So, I mean, if they want to, I can see the point here. I can see that point about banning those clubs. But if they're going to ban those clubs, an LGBTQ club, then they also need to ban Hispanic clubs and everything else. And that's going to be real tight, especially in Texas.
Yeah, because so the thing of it is you're absolutely correct on that. You know, hate facts again. You're such a hateful person, but
hey, the facts are what the facts are, whether I like them or not.
yeah, the facts are the facts. You know, your feelings don't interfere with my facts.
So, okay. Now there's one video I was trying to find, and I couldn't find it anywhere. Well, actually, I forgot I had this one here. Speaking of hate facts, this is an old video that rings. I mean, D'Souza hasn't been a thing since he was convicted of campaign fundraising problems. Yeah, he made donations out of his pocket and other people's names.
Right.
No, I mean, he pled guilty to them, but this is an old video, and this actually needs to be said today, even more so today than it did, you know. Whoops. It'd help if I turn the volume back on. Okay, why do I not have volume?
Yeah, I'm not hearing you.
No, the volume keeps shutting off. Okay, I will try this one more time. Only turn it up halfway and see if that makes a difference. Son of a gun. That irritates me.
What threat do I pose to you? With me. Yes, you're afraid of ideas. You're not afraid of fascists. You think I pose a threat to you? I'm an immigrant. I came to America with nothing. What threat do I pose to you?
Do y'all hear it? Can you hear that now?
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's quite loud. That's okay.
No, you came voluntarily. Did I ask you to come? No, don't shout at me. I'm defending fascism. No, I'm exposing you as a fascist. Because.
All right, now, these are people like that happens today whenever people go out, you know, whenever a conservative is out talking. You've got, right now, they're out, you know, the Free Palestine crowd is in the back that are going to jump up and start doing their chanting to disrupt whatever meeting is going on. Or you get that trans crowd standing up and trying to take over. All right. So this is from year, like I said, this is you know, like I said, Dinesh hasn't been a thing in a long time. At least what? Probably about 8 years.
Do you realize? I'll tell you how. You asked me a question. Hold on. Are you familiar with the black shirts in Italy or the brown shirts in Germany? Do you realize that they would go to campuses, goons, and would stand in the back of the room, and when somebody tried to make an intelligent presentation and answer questions, they would shout them down, yell at them, try to intimidate them, and count as success if they could get the event canceled and the speaker threatened. But see, the problem is, sometimes you get speakers like me who are not scared of people like you. We recognize your frauds. I recognize that ultimately you are afraid of ideas. You're not willing to engage with me. Yes, you're afraid of ideas. You're not afraid of fascists. You think I pose a threat to you? I'm an immigrant. I came to America with nothing. What threat do I pose to you?
You promoted dangerous, violent ideas that kill millions of people.
I propose dangerous, violent ideas that kill people? Who have I killed?
You look at capitalism. You are a part of
Capitalism? Do you realize that Hitler's deadly opponent was capitalism? Have you read the Nazi 25-point platform? Let me give you a few themes from it. State control of the banks. Do you support that? No. State control of healthcare. Do you support that? State control of education. Do you support that? No. All right. What I'm trying to get at is the fascist ideology is one that is distinctly on the left. Whether or not you personally support it.
any political theory. Fascism is specifically on the right. It is talking about a race superior to another. You are not saying it about the left has problems. The left has been co-opted.
Okay, but anyway, like I was saying there, these college kids are still doing the same thing today that they were doing back then. Anybody that they disagree with, anybody on the right that they disagree with is automatically a fascist. They have called us, people on the right, conservatives, Republicans, fascists, Nazis, and everything else so much that the words mean nothing anymore.
That is a fact.
Now, back when I was working every day at the hotel during the summer, if I didn't get called a racist at least once a week, I did something wrong. I missed enforcing a hotel policy somewhere along the line. If I didn't get called a racist at least once. And that, I mean, you know, I kept a little notepad sometimes. That's okay. 3 times this week. All right, I'm on a roll. There comes a point when being called these names mean nothing, and it turns out that the person who's up there in the back, who's doing the name calling, they are what they are calling you out. Because they are the ones trying to inhibit the free expression of ideas. They're the ones trying to inhibit the exchange, communications. They're the ones trying to keep everybody in a vacuum. I watched a video last night, may have been this morning. I've been up, the dog got me up at 3 this morning. Yesterday was 3:30, today it was 3. A woman was sitting there saying, if you ever told anybody it was okay not to vote for Kamala and that you would still talk to them, associate with them, then you need to apologize to everybody else. Because how dare you let somebody else have a free thought or associate with someone who doesn't agree with you on everything. And that's the way there are those on the right like that too, but it's more prevalent on the left. In the far, especially the progressive left, the college campuses, the blue hair crowd. And I'm not using blue hair as in old, the ones who are dying there.
You mean the pink hairs?
Pink hair. There, I saw a little video, another video I saw the other day. This kid goes walking up to, tells his dad that he had told his mom or told a woman that the hair dye that they use contains lead.
Yeah.
And the dad goes, well, that explains her thinking then.
Yeah.
She's put so much lead in her head that it's invaded her brain. She's gotten lead poisoning. But anyway, thanks for coming out here today, Dar. Today was a perfect day because really appreciate your discussion there on the
No worries.
on the Palantir thing.
Yeah, no, I just, like I said, I don't know enough about it yet to make any intelligent comments. I don't want to get too weird. Don't want to get too conspiratorial.
The problem is how many times we've been the people on conspiracies been proven right.
Yeah. What's the difference between the truth and conspiracy? Oh, about 6 months.
Yeah. That's and when it comes to the government doing things, I'm always when they start a new project, I'm always trying to think, how's this project? It looks good now on paper, but how's it going to look 5 years from now?
Well, I think the important thing we need to keep in mind here is this. You can plan all you want, but no plan survives first contact.
Yeah. Right. Look at the Department of Education. The Department of Education was a great idea. Who started that? Who started Department of Education now? I forget.
Was
it Carter or Nixon?
Yeah, I think it was Carter.
But still, it was a good idea to have a Department of Education.
Yeah, so that overall learning in the United States was all pretty much the same. Some states not having way better and some states having way worse. Looked good on paper, didn't it?
It sure did.
Look at how short of a time it became this overall. Speaking of which,
look at Job Corps. Job Corps was a great idea 40 years ago when it started.
Yeah. Now look at it.
That's one of the discussions I have now. They spend $2 billion plus a year on Job Corps on a 16% success rate.
Yeah.
Well, 37% graduation rate, and of the graduates, only 16% actually get jobs, and most of them are only earning $20 or earning less than $20 an hour.
Well, it's like the state lotteries for to fund schools, right?
Yeah.
Great
idea.
Yeah,
Florida.
Great idea on paper, right? But if you take California, because they were one of the first, so they went from school funding, which was not quite adequate, could have been better, right? To now they have these big, ginormous glass buildings, these gorgeous buildings full of administrators. Schools still can't get any. The schools are way underfunded now. And now you got a whole population of people are addicted to gambling.
Yep.
Not so good. Yeah. And, as bad as I hate to say it, Florida the same way. You have all these administrators that are getting well paid in these big, giant glass buildings. But, we still have to go down to our local school and help them patch walls and paint and do all that kind of stuff. And you have a bunch of old people addicted to gambling. So, again, all this stuff looks great on paper. but when it's
Florida
applied,
priced
not
me
so
out of
much.
buying lottery tickets years ago.
Yeah,
I
you know
used to,
what?
I used to spend $5 a week on lottery tickets.
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't smoke anymore, so $5 a week. Okay, I could do that. And then I went in one day, went to process my thing, and it went from $5 to $10. I'm like, what? Well, yeah, it went up this week. The same batch tickets, the same little piece of cardboard that I, been carrying with me forever with the same sets of numbers on them, went from $5 to $10. And I was like, okay, this will be the last time you'll see me in here buying lottery tickets. I paid for them.
yeah,
And I happened to win $80. So it's like, okay, I won my money back, but that's it.
pretty much. So
I
so
haven't bought a lottery ticket since.
yeah, so this the thing is, the whole Social Security thing and all that, right? That was created for World War II veterans coming home, so that because a lot of them it took a while to find a job and that because industry kind of went downhill after World War II. And now you look at it, it was supposed to be temporary. It was just to help out the World War II vets, and it was supposed to go away. Now look at this big bloated bureaucracy that it is. Department of Education, started by Jimmy Carter, not that long ago, back when we were kids. And all that's done is bloated the system, and the school's still, still underperforming in the United States in general. So you can look at almost any government program that's meant to help people, and it ends up not doing its job. So, yeah,
Yeah.
And so anytime the government announces a big project, yeah, I get nervous.
Talking about the Social Security, Ida Mae Fuller was the first person to draw a monthly Social Security check.
Yeah.
Okay. And her first check was $40 and change.
Yeah.
All right. And that, the thing was that she'd only paid into Social Security for just for a couple of months. She paid in $24.75 into the system. And she started drawing just a few months later from let's see, she worked on Social Security. She paid in for 3 years. I'm sorry. She worked on Social Security for just shy of 3 years, from 1937 to 39, paid a total of $24, and she started drawing out afterwards. So,
yeah, they keep taking out more than they're putting in. So yeah, to support our folks now, it's going to take like 10 people working to pay for one person's Social Security.
Let's see. The first Social Security check was double lot, triple lot, double lot 1, dated January 31st, 1940, for $22.54, equivalent to $506. She paid in a total of $510, and her first check that she got was she paid in $24, and her first check was for $22.
Yeah.
Oh, son of a gun. So I knew that there was that story there was like, she paid in, her first check was actually more than what she'd paid in total. But anyway, Neil, glad to see you, buddy. You're a little late today. Sorry about that. I've got to get ready to go see my doctors again. This may be, if everything goes right, this will be my last time to go see this young lady. So, because the wounds on my legs are just that left leg is healed, and right leg should be completely healed by this time. Yay! That's one thing that sucks about getting old. You get a real bad wound on your on your leg or something, it can take months for them to heal.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hey, I tell you what, I'd rather have you out working and earning $1 than not, and than in here listening to me. Unless you can listen to me while you're working. But I don't blame anybody for not listening to me when they're at work.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised anybody listens to me when it comes at all anymore. But
Yeah, you never know.
Now, anyway, Dar, thank you, my friend. It's good to
You
see
bet.
you again. You know, you've always got a invite, and I
Yeah.
send it out every day.
Yeah, well, I get it. It's just
Okay.
very seldom do I ever get an
Yep.
opportunity to do this kind of stuff anymore.
And the wife is off work tomorrow, so I doubt. I normally don't stream on Wednesdays anyway, but with her being home, I'm actually going to be able to go to bed and get some sleep. I
Nice.
won't. The animals won't let me go to bed on Wednesdays. I'm not allowed to go to the bedroom. I have to stay out on the couch. So I might actually be able to get some sleep when I go to tomorrow. But y'all have a good day. I'll definitely if all things work well, I'll be back on Thursday. And y'all have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. As always, be with the ones you love and love the ones that you're with. Last words, Dar.
Yeah, be yourself unless you can be a sailor, then always be a sailor.
Way to go.